Welcome to the seminar Teaching to Transform by following the prophetic method. I want to say to you that teaching is not a job. Selling lottery tickets is a job. Teaching is a calling. Can you ask yourself this question? Can you imagine not teaching? If you can imagine not teaching and doing something else, then teaching is not for you. A teacher is not somebody who has a bumper tag, bumper sticker saying, I would rather be anything else. I'd rather be golfing, fishing, whatever. If you would rather be something else, then my advice to you is go be that. Teaching needs passion. A teacher teaches for the joy of teaching. A teacher is somebody who simply cannot imagine doing anything else. A teacher is someone who will not only teach without pay, but will even pay to teach. I want to say to you, the secret of teaching is to become a lamp. A lamp doesn't light a room by doing anything to the room. It lights it up simply by being true to itself and fulfilling its own purpose in life. Because in the end, the student is the only true measure of the teacher. So I say to you, oh teacher, stop teaching and start learning. I have been a teacher for over 40 years now. And Alhamdulillah, I have been an extremely successful teacher. I teach in an extremely competitive environment, which is the corporate world. Most teachers get annual appraisals. I get a daily appraisal. Most teachers' job does not depend on the annual appraisal right away, meaning that at the end of the year, if you had an appraisal which was, a little bit this way and that way, you still wouldn't lose your job. In my case, if my rating is less than 98.5%, then I have no job. I submit to you that animals are born, humans are made. And those who make humans are teachers. Not necessarily teachers as in school, but those who teach them, which of course includes first the parents. Teach values, because values drive behavior and behavior drives results. If you want to change the result, you must go to the value and see what is it that you believe in. Because your beliefs determine your behavior, and your behavior determines what you get in return from the world. And remember, values cannot be legislated. They must be inculcated. So what should you do? Monitor yourself daily, continuously. Start discovering and learning and enjoying. Start by appreciating this fact that the child is the best thing that happened to you, and every single day try to become the best thing that happens to that child, to him or her. And one good way of doing that is to look for good stories. Collect stories, good stories of what your children do. And I'm using the word your children in a very specific sense. Because your children, as in those you teach, are just like your biological children, those you gave birth to. Finally, I say to you and I say to myself, people listen with their eyes. Children listen with their eyes. They don't care what we say until they see what we do. Think of yourself as ushers. people guiding others in a vast museum. Walk quietly with your students. Open one door, show them inside what is there. Let their eyes open, pop open with surprise, with wonder. And say, wow, subhanAllah. Shut the door, give them the key. Take them to another door. Open that door. Show them what's inside there. Let them wonder at this. And shut the door, give them the key. So that they can come back and explore that in their own good time. The thing to ask yourself is every day exciting? It should be. It can be. There's nothing more exciting than learning. The question is, how do you project that? Do you project that as an exciting discovery? Or do you project that as a mundane thing at the end of which is an examination where you pass or fail and you're punished or not? Think about this. In my view, teaching is not about answering questions, but about raising questions, opening doors for them in places that they could not even imagine. Ask questions. Reward the best question. You know what's the best question? The best question is the one that left you speechless, for which you had no answer. The teacher who gives answers has failed. Let them find the answers and be prepared, and you be prepared for answers that you didn't even think about. The minds of children go into places that you did not even imagine were there. And that's a beautiful thing. Ask yourself this very important question. Do you really want to teach? Do you really want to teach? And if you really want to teach, set extraordinary goals for yourself. Why extraordinary? Because it is the nature of extraordinary goals to inspire extraordinary effort. Good enough never is. When you are saying good enough, you are looking at mediocrity. Mediocrity is a cancer. And like cancer, it kills from within. The body does not fight cancer cells because it sees them as part of itself. But cancer cells will kill the body. Mediocrity is cancer, with one difference. Cancer is not infectious, mediocrity is. So tell yourself, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing well. And that is why you need passion to do well as a teacher. Ask you this question. What's your brand? What is your brand? To create brand, you must differentiate. Differentiation creates brand. Brand inspires loyalty. Loyalty enables influence. Let me repeat that. Differentiation creates brand. Brand inspires loyalty. Loyalty enables influence. Without brand, you are a grain of rice in a sack. You're still rice, but you're one grain in a sack. I want to remind myself and you that it's not about today. Teaching is not about today. Teaching is not about passing exams. Teaching is not about completing a syllabus. Teaching is about keeping the excitement of learning alive all lifelong. Which brings me to the prophetic method. How did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teach? In one place, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَإِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ مُعَلِّمًا, and I have been sent as a teacher. In another place, he said, بُعِثْتُ لِأُتِمَّ حُسْنَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported, and this hadith is in Muwatta Imam Malik, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I have been sent to perfect good character. That is the fundamental goal of all teaching. To perfect good character. To create good character, perfect good character. We have sadly reduced teaching into filling minds with random bits of information. That is not teaching. That's not teaching. That's bottle filling. The children are not little bottles to be filled with random bits of information. They have to be molded. They are human beings. As I said, animals are born, humans are made, and you are the ones to make those humans into humans. In the teaching, especially in teaching in Islamic teaching, the fundamental teaching is the Quran al Kareem, the Kitab of Allah. And everything else we teach is a reflection of the Kitab of Allah. It's a derivation of the Kitab of Allah. Islamic studies, usul of fiqh, usul hadith, hadith and fiqh itself, and of course, obviously, tajweed, tafsir, so on, so on. All of these are from the Quran, and that is the fundamental source. That is the power generating source. In that context, I want to share with you this famous hadith, Sahih hadith in Bukhari. عن عثمان بن عفان رضي الله عنه قال عن النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال خير خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. In another place he said, أو علمه, who learn or teach. The best people. So I want you to think of yourself as the best people because of what you're teaching. Never let that sense of worth leave you and leave your heart. You are doing something which the Prophet of Allah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam called the best thing that you can do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as his blessing, as the blessing of Allah. Allah said, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Allah said, indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala conferred a great favor on the believers when He sent among them the messenger which is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from among themselves, reciting unto them His ayat and purifying them, internal and external, and teaching them the book, the Quran, and Al-Hikmah, which is the wisdom and His Sunnah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. While before that, they had been in manifest error. Allah mentioned four things, 4 steps. All these 4 are critical to success as to teach the Kitab of Allah and to teach Islam. Number 1, Yatlu alayhim ayati. Recite for them the ayat of the Quran. Inform them. Now, in the information, it's very important. Inform them the benefit of learning. It starts with the WIIFM. What's in it for me? The FM station that everybody listens to. Start from there. WIIFM. Why must I learn? We have the hadith of Mirza Yawar Baig, who said that when a person recites the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him 10 hasanat, 10 rewards for every letter of the Quran. And then he emphasized and he clarified and he said, I do not say that Alif Lam Mim is one letter. He said Alif is one letter, Lam is one letter, Mim is one letter. So when we recite the Quran, we are saying Alif Lam Mim, we already have 30 hasanat, 30 rewards. What is the value of 1 hasana? 1 hasana is the difference between Jannah and Jahannam. That is how important it is. So teach the children. Put yourself in their minds. Here is a child sitting there and he's asking himself, why must I learn? What do I get if I learn? Where can I apply this stuff? They're teaching me all this stuff. Where can I apply it? Is there any practical value in that? And you must also understand the opposite, which is what is the problem with not learning? If I don't go to the school, if I don't learn this, what's the harm? Very, very important. We start from there because context makes meaning and context is motivating. Fadail of the amal, the benefits of the deed. When I know the value of what I'm doing, I get motivated to do that. It's not a routine, mundane task. There's something which has value, which is worthy. I'm doing something worthwhile. It is our job as teachers to make this very clear to the students. How do we do that? By making it clear to ourselves. It's only when we make it clear to ourselves that we can make it clear to the students. Second one, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, purify them, prepare. Think of this as a farmer. This farmer has the best seed possible, and that best seed is the Kitab of Allah, the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the teachings of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Best seed. You give this farmer the best seed and you say, go plant it. What's the first thing he's going to do? Will he simply go and dig a hole in the ground and put this? No. The first thing he will do is he will keep the seed safely, and then he will prepare the soil into which the seed is supposed to go. He will detox the soil, he will check its pH value, he will, if there are any obstacles and stones and rocks and thorns and whatnot and weeds, he will do all of that, right? He will manure it, he will make make the preparations to irrigate it and so on. When the soil is ready, only then does he plant. He spends a lot of time in preparing the soil because he's a farmer. He understands that even if the best seed, even if he has the best seed, if it is planted into soil which is toxic, soil which is inert, soil which is negative, then it will kill the seed. And even if it doesn't kill the seed might germinate, but you will never get the kind of crop, the kind of harvest that this seed was capable of giving you. So in the context of the religion of Allah, in the context of Islam, teaching in the prophetic method consists of informing. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. This is what we know. This is the kalam of Allah. And then preparing the heart to receive that beautiful seed. And that is external purification, which is tahara, ghusl, wudu, clean clothing, clean place, and internal cleaning the heart from all kinds of negativity. The second one is make dua. As a teacher, you must make dua for your students, for your children every single day in tahajjud. As a parent, you must make dua for your children every single day in tahajjud. Tell me, how many of you tonight, last night, the night before you're watching this video, how many of you in tahajjud you made dua for your own children? The children you teach and the children you gave birth to. I won't even ask if you cried before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should really, but even if you did, at least did you make dua? So ask Allah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put hidayah in their hearts. Ask Allah to give you the words that can reach their hearts. Ask Allah to make it easy for them to apply. Then, third one, adab. Ba adab, ba murad, be adab, be murad. The one who has adab, he is successful. The one who does not have adab is a failure. When Musa alayhi salam went to the burning bush, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him nubuwwat, what is the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him when Musa alayhi salam landed there? He said, فَخْلَعْنَ عَلَيْكَ إِنَّكَ بِوَادِ الْمُقَدَّسِ طُوَى. He said, take off your shoes. You are in a holy place. You are in a sacred place. Clothing, posture. They have a big problem here with people. They wear anything, they sit anywhere, they sit with their feet extended. The soles of the seat, of the soles of the feet pointing at the face of the teacher. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi. How will they ever learn? Please, laws, the rules of teaching do not change because you are living in a different country. My brothers and sisters, it's like flying. Whichever plane you fly, from whichever airport you take off, you have to follow the rules of flight. You have to fulfill the rules of aerodynamics and flight. It doesn't matter what plane you're flying. It doesn't matter which airport. The rules don't change in America, they don't change in Russia, they don't change in India, they don't change in the Middle East. Same rules. You have adab, you will learn. You have no adab, you will not learn. And then akhlaq, speech and behavior, how you treat children. Treat them with kindness. There is no other way to treat them. Treat them with kindness. Demonstrate adab. If you behave with adab, they will behave with adab. How are you dressed? What do you do? You are in a Muslim school. Do you look like a Muslim? It's not a question of I wear hijab, I don't wear hijab. It's a question is, as a Muslim, what are you supposed to do? What are you demonstrating? Prepare for the class. Your lesson plans, your class Prepare for it. Because as they say, fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. The one who fails to prepare is preparing to fail. So preparation. First one, information. Second one, preparation to receive that information and benefit from it. Third one, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ is the teaching, actual contextual teaching. So ask yourself, what am I teaching and what is the best way of teaching that? Think about this. If you're selling perfume and your way of selling perfume is to make a PowerPoint presentation about perfume, I would say that's a very stupid way of selling perfume. The best way to sell perfume is to give people a whiff of that perfume. Put it on their wrist and say, please smell it. You don't have to sell it. The perfume sells itself. What is the best way? If I'm teaching somebody cycling, what's the best way? Show them a video? No. Put them on a cycle. Put them on a bicycle. What is the best way to teach what you are teaching? And then how can you enable and reinforce the learning? How can you make it possible for them to learn? Remember, each child will have a different way of learning. Each child will have, and that's the reason why the children teacher ratio, beyond a point, it has no meaning. So each child, what is their preferred way of learning? Some children respond to being spoken to. Other children need to see and write. So other children need to respond. And final point is, how will you test their understanding? Our standard method of examination is garbage. Random recall is not understanding. Our standard method is random recall in a time window. The same answer, the child cannot answer the question in that time window. He knows the answer 5 minutes later, examination time is over, they've taken the paper from him, he knows the answer, you fail the child. Yeah? What's the meaning of that? Does he know the answer or does he not know the answer? What is the sanctity of knowing the answer within that specific time frame? The exam systems are designed to help teachers to be more lazy. That's it. And sadly, the world accepts it. It's a completely useless system. It must be trashed, abolished. What we need to create is a system to test understanding. I'm not against exams. I'm against the way exams are done. To test understanding. We teach Quran. We say I'm teaching Quran. What are you teaching? You're teaching somebody to make some sounds in a particular way. Do you stop and ask, what did that do to your heart? What did that do to your heart? You just talked about the greatness and glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You just recited Ayat al-Kursi. You just recited Hu Allahu alladhi la ilaha illahu alimul ghaybi wa shahada huwa ar-Rahmanur Rahim. Connected to the earthquake that has happened in Syria and Turkey. A human being, if he is deprived of water, will die of thirst in between 3 and 5 days. And it's a very horrible death. Because there is massive dehydration. Because of that, there is huge fatigue. Blood gets concentrated. Sodium and potassium salts increase in the blood and you get dementia. You go crazy, you go mad. The tongue sticks to the palate. The whole throat and this whole gullet is like it's on fire. And then your kidneys fail. And then there is general organ failure and your heart stops. 3 to 5 days. Very slow, agonizing, terrible way to die. But in the earthquake, what do we see? We see 5.5 days after the earthquake. Little 2-month-old baby, infant, pulled out of the rubble, alive and well, by himself. There's no one there. We see a mother, she's given birth to a baby girl 10 hours after the earthquake. The baby is still attached to the mother by the umbilical cord. The rescuers, they cut the umbilical cord and take the baby out. Mother's dead. Baby is alive and well. A mother and 2 children. 10 days. 10 days. They should have died 2 times. 10 days after. Pulled out of the rubble. Alive and well. A little toddler comes out laughing. After 5 days, comes out laughing. Not hungry, not thirsty. What are we seeing here? We are seeing here the manifestation of Allah la ilaha illa huwa al hayyul qayyum. When you're teaching Quran, ask yourself this question. We focus on the tajweed of it. Very good. Please go ahead. But if you are telling me that the Quran was revealed to correct your makharij, then I will say you're nuts. The Quran was revealed to bring this azama of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into our hearts. And say, this is my Rabb, wallah. When I say la yanfa wa la yadur illa Allah, there's no one who can harm and no one who can benefit except Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us that in so many words and in so many sites in this earthquake. How do you teach? What are you teaching? What is the best way? When the child is reciting the Quran, are you asking the child, stop for a second here. What do you feel in your heart? You're reciting very nicely, beautiful, fantastic, wonderful. Are you feeling anything inside your heart? Or are you stuck on the pronunciation and this and that? What are you teaching? And how are you teaching that? وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. The application. Remember, you succeeded as a teacher only if they can apply it. If you are teaching Quran and you are teaching Hadith and you are doing lectures and you are doing all kinds of things, and then they are going and running smoke shops and they are working in convenience stores and they're selling lottery and they're selling all kinds of haram stuff, believe me, you have failed. And I have failed. If they're eating anything without thinking, is it halal, haram, zabiya, non-zabiya? If they're trying to find loopholes, convenient, compliant alims who are giving them fatwa, which suit them, then we have failed. Application. The knowledge of the alim, the knowledge of the teacher must be visible in themselves, in their appearance and in their actions. So demonstrate how. Show the benefit of applying, not talk about it. Encourage questions, encourage dissent, encourage disagreement. Let them come and tell you, Sheikh, my teacher, I have not understood this. Or, I don't agree with this. Sit with them. Don't argue. Don't browbeat them. Explain to them, why don't you agree? What is your doubt? Solve their problems. Because remember, you succeeded only if they can apply it. It doesn't matter what you taught them. If they cannot apply it, it's your failure. It is your failure. It's not the failure of the student. To understand this, let me take you to training animals. If you are training a horse to jump over an obstacle course and the horse fails, whose failure is that? It's the failure of the trainer. Let me take you into the sports world. You're the coach of a soccer team, basketball team, any team, and your team fails. Your team does not score. Whose failure is that? The failure of the coach. It's not that if the coach says, oh, you know what, I did my best, but these people are useless, that coach is useless and that coach will be sacked. Because the job of the coach is to ensure that the team wins. And when the team is playing, the coach is not on the field. The coach is off the field. That is our challenge as teachers. What will they do when I'm no longer there? And if they do the right thing, then I have succeeded. If they do the wrong thing, it is my failure. It's not their fault, my failure. And that is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the beautiful hadith, Malik bin al-Huwairith radiallahu anhu reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's a beautiful law hadith, but just the last part of it, he said, pray as you have seen me praying. Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray as you have seen me praying. He didn't say pray as I told you to pray, as you have seen me praying. He told them also, but he demonstrated that. Pray as you have seen me praying. My brothers and sisters, seriously, ask yourself this question. That as a teacher, What difference can I make? And for that, I will tell you one of my favorite stories. It's a true story of Lauren Isley, the writer. And he says that he was walking on a beach one morning, early morning, after a storm had happened the previous night, and he saw the beach was littered with all kinds of debris from the sea, in which there were hundreds, maybe thousands of starfish. He said as he was walking along, he saw in the distance, looked like a small child who was doing something which looked like a dance. He was bending down and standing up. And he said as he got closer, he saw this child was picking up starfish from the sand and throwing them into the sea. So Lord Isley went up to him and he asked him, like people have, they see somebody doing something, but they still have to ask, this is what are you doing? The child held a starfish in his hand. He said, I'm throwing this into the sea because on the sand they dry out and they die. I'm throwing it into the sea so that it will live. Lord Isley said, I laughed at this little boy. And I said to him, I said, look kid, turn around, look here. See how many hundreds, maybe thousands, or no, hundreds of thousands of starfish are on this same beach, on this one beach. Now think about this. How many millions of square miles of beach is there in the world, and storms happen, and how many zillions of starfish are being thrown? He said, what difference can you make? You're one child on this one beach. What difference can you make? Lord nicely said, the child looked at me. He looked at the starfish in his hand. He threw it into the waves. And he said it made a difference to that one. It made a difference to that one. And that's what I say to you. You might say, well, I'm one teacher. What difference can I make? Believe me, you can make the biggest difference in the life of the child. And if you make a difference in the life of one child, believe me, your life has been worth it. That's why my gift to you is to say to you that in the life of every person comes a time when a window opens and they can make a difference. Our window is open now. To succeed, say to yourself what I say to myself. I will not allow what is not in my control to prevent me from doing what is in my control. I will not allow what is not in my control to prevent me from doing what is in my control. And that is my gift to you. I wish you all the very best, and I hope you become the best teachers the world has ever seen, the best teachers that your children have ever seen. وصلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.